I guess some Souls-like titles are into having sequels, huh? The next entry in the article is Lords of the Falling 2, which is described by its own developers as bolder, braver, and bloodier. And that alone already gives me goosebumps all over. It is set 100 years after the original, the rebooted one, and allows players to explore both realms, Axiom and Umbral, once again. This time, though, their worlds are going to be more gruesome and macabre than before. I personally loved the first game, but I must confess that it could have had a larger variety of overall elements, such as enemies, bosses, starting classes, skills, and weapons. However, that is exactly what we can expect from the next chapter. Also, the unique mechanic of the Umbral that stands out from the rest of the Souls-like games is going to be back in a more engaging form, expanding its effects visually and thematically.
Grime is a type of game that I like to consider a Soulsvania, which means that it blends elements from both Soulslikes and Metroidvanias, my favorite genres, by the way, and it is one of my favorite titles of this game style. So you can imagine how incredibly excited I am about this sequel, Grime 2, which is going to practically double the amount of content from the first game. From the trailers and interviews with the developers, we can expect even more variety in combat and playstyle, with an inspiration from Elden Ring in terms of accessibility, more platforming sequences, new progression systems, a higher number of challenging bosses, and a sharpened art direction. I cannot wait to get raging. And I see that with affection, of course, with this one.
Despite having the number 2 in the title to attract players' attention, it seems that Bandai Namco has some very ambitious plans for Code Vein 2. That is because the game is set to feel more like a reboot than an actual sequel, and to be honest with you, I got really excited about everything that I heard about it. Sure, I would love to revisit the stories of Io, Louis, Akumo, and Mia Karnstein one more time, but the idea of having a brand new anime-inspired vampire RPG on top of 2 timelines sounds like a nice breath of fresh air to me, especially because the first one really feels like it is a one-and-done experience. Some already confirmed elements include an improved character creator, a more polished combat, an evolved partner AI, a seemingly more open world, and some completely fresh mechanics. I mean, my body is ready.
Ballad of Antara is probably the most intriguing title in this video, which manages to get me excited and wary at the same time, due to its pretty ambitious ideas. It is basically a dark fantasy ARPG from Pascal's Wager developers, which, interestingly, is a decent Souls-like for mobile devices, with multiple playable characters, exotic landscapes, exploration-oriented level design, and a sheer range of bosses. Oh, and add multiplayer support for up to 3 players on top of that, allowing you to play alone or with the help of friends. You are probably wondering what got me wary, since all of that sounds great, right? Well, the answer is that it is going to be free to play, so I'm curious about why. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I hope that it will be one of those games that can live without the premium stuff, instead of just aggressively adding microtransactions.
I am always up for an explore a dark and mysterious world to save it from decaying type of experience, and the Relic First Guardian basically aims to deliver that. By watching its trailers, you can sum it up as an ambitious mixture of the Elden Ring and Sekiro formulas, but with its own unique setting and story on top. What really got me interested, though, is that it is so visually appealing, and it is deeply inspired by Korean folklore and myths, placing the player as the last living guardian who needs to prevent humanity from falling into darkness.
Add that plot to a semi-open world to explore and challenging, fast-paced combat with that exciting focus on timing-based dodges and parries, and I am already totally in.
Talking about Bloodborne 2, our video could not end any other way. The Duskbloods is the upcoming Soulsborne from Software with the brand new vampire experience in the dark gothic world of Duskbloods. It is said to be a PvP EV game with multiple playable characters that will pit players against each other and NPC enemies, while everyone is searching for something called First Blood. Overall, it seems like an online experience with a more action-oriented dig to it. It sounds mysterious and dark enough to me, and is already quite a different thing from any other From Software's past titles, so I am truly excited to see Hidetaka Miyazaki's creativity flow along this new path. Also, I am curious about the game being exclusive to the Nintendo Switch too. Maybe we will see some of the console's exclusive features reflected in-game, such as the dual mounts of game chat. Who knows?
I know that Phantom Blade Zero is an ARPG more akin to a hack-and-slash vibe, aiming for a combo-driven and fast-paced experience. However, the Souls-like subgenre is still one of the game's inspirations for its interconnected world design and challenging combat, but without the punishing aspect. And I really believe that Souls-like fans will enjoy this one. Its story and aesthetic also look amazing, being heavily inspired by fantasy themes, Chinese martial arts, and a steampunk twist. Don't even let me get started on the bosses and their designs, otherwise I will never stop writing. From everything I saw in trailers, previews, and interviews, alongside the build that I had the opportunity to test at Summer Game Fest 2024, I bet that this one is going to be one of the most fun and challenging experiences of the decade.
I think that any Souls fan was blown away by the announcement of Nioh 3, since we all believed that the franchise was over. I mean, even the developer behind the series stated in 2020 that they were done working on the IP. So we trusted them, right? Luckily for us, they changed their minds, and the Dark Samurai action RPG series is not only back, but with significant improvements that promise to greatly change the feel of playing a Nioh title from now on. With the premise of mixing both samurai and ninja combat styles, the next entry will have plenty of additions to the gameplay, such as jump, double jump, stealth mechanics, a more open world, fast travel, custom waypoints, and a wider level design. It seems that we are going to have several small improvements that together will further enhance the experience, possibly making Nioh 3 the Elden Ring of its franchise.
The first Mortal Shell is definitely not for every player. It has slow and clunky gameplay, but it manages to compensate with a pretty interesting world building and a fun harden mechanic that allows the player to become invulnerable to anything for a few seconds. I honestly had a lot of fun with it, despite its slow pacing, but I get players who had a hard time in Fulgrim. However, its sequel is stated to be a standalone title that significantly evolves and expands on the original, correcting its main problems and maintaining what worked before. So it is basically the best of both worlds, and may appeal to players who liked and disliked the first game. It is promised that we are going to have faster combat, a deeper world with more emphasis on free exploration, a greater variety of grotesque enemies, and guns added to the gameplay.
Outside titles developed by From Software Studio, since, well, they pioneered the whole thing, I believe that Lies of P is probably the most complete Souls-like game out there. It has everything that us Souls fans are always craving: amazing and unique bosses, a huge variety of weapons and build possibilities, a satisfying parry and dodge system, and an alive and interconnected world. What truly got me hooked on it, though, was its twisted story, based on the classic fable of Pinocchio. I never thought that I was going to beat up some enormous puppets to save Geppetto's ass, for example, but I'm glad I did.
That said, I am truly excited about what's coming with its sequel, which is still a mystery for us all, but I hope it is another experience that can quench my thirst for Bloodborne 2.